Hello, I am Tomlin from Tomlin Harmonica School, and in this video I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the types of effects pedals that you might want to try out when you play amplified. So for this video I'll be using a Hohner Harp Blaster HB52 microphone plugged into a ZT Lunchbox amplifier via some effects pedals. But first, what is an effects pedal? So an effects pedal is a device that you feed your signal from your microphone into so that it can alter it in some way before it gets amplified. Now, the types of effects that I use on a regular basis are delay, reverb, and octave. So let's learn a little bit more about those. But before we do that, you can do a little something for me and you can smash that like button below. Also, if you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe so you don't miss out on future harmonica content. Okay, so let's talk about the first effects pedal that I'm going to be using, which is a delay pedal. So for starters, let's just listen to the sound without it, and then I'll tap it in so you can hear how it affects the sound. Okay, with it. So you can hear that it adds a little bit of an echo. And what I really want you to think of delay as is a repetition of what you play at a set interval for a set number of repeats. And most often it's used to fatten up your tone like that, using something called slapback delay. So that's a very short delay time which just thickens everything up. But you can use it for more kind of out there sounds if you increase the delay time and you increase your feedback time. Okay, so that is your delay pedal. Now let's move on to the reverb pedal. So let's hear what it sounds like without the reverb pedal. Then if I put it on, so you can hear that it's kind of similar to the delay pedal in that it's an echo effect, but reverb is a little bit more complex than the delay. Think of it as what happens when an echo bounces off of multiple different surfaces and bounces between them, and that's what makes something sound like a specific space. So imagine that you're playing in a big church with stone walls, really high ceilings. You're going to have something that sounds a little bit like this. Whereas if you're playing in a smaller room, you'd have something that sounds a little bit more like this. So that's a much more subtle effect, but as a player I find that it makes you feel a lot more inspired to play than just a completely dry signal. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between these two pedals one more time, because they are very, very similar, but I like to use them together because they definitely add their own thing. So the delay is a specific echo. It's a repeat of what you're playing, and you can clearly hear the repeat. Whereas reverb is more complex. It's the sound of a room, and it just kind of makes things feel a little bit more airy when you're playing. So if I have them both together, it kind of thickens up my sound and just makes it feel a little bit more atmospheric. Okay, and I might not have something quite as dramatic as that on the delay. I like it to be a little bit more subtle, but hopefully that helps you to hear a little bit more effectively what's actually happening. Okay, so let's look at the next pedal that I would be using, which is the octave pedal. So what an octave pedal does is it copies the note that you're playing into it, and it will transpose that note either up or down, or sometimes both, to kind of thicken your sound, to make your harmonica sound like a bass harmonica, or to make your harmonica sound extremely squeaky. Harmonica already sounds pretty squeaky, so you might want to be a bit careful about that. But let's look at adding a note below. So without the octave, with the octave. Okay, now just for interest, let's add a note above. That makes it sound a little bit like an organ. It's quite fun. So you'll find that most octave pedals are best for single note playing. If you play chords, they struggle with what's called tracking. That means they'll sound very mushy and they'll be a bit confused because they aren't sure what note you're trying to play an octave up or an octave down. Some pedals can track quite well. This pedal is actually quite good for chords, so if I play a chord through it, it almost sounds like I've got a vintage Hammond organ in the background, and that can be quite fun to play with. So depending on what sort of sound you're going for, you can mess around with that and choose an octave pedal that's going to give you what you need. Generally, I will use just the sub to get an octave lower as a bass line when I'm playing loops. And then if I want to get that nice Hammond sound, I'll add in a bit of the upper, just a tiny bit. But that's specifically this pedal, the sub and up, which gives me that chordal thing. A lot of octave pedals won't manage it. And now let's have a very quick talk about the order that your pedals should go in. So let's talk about kind of everything that affects your sound. So we're ignoring the loop pedal for now because that doesn't actually change your sound, it's just a recorder. So always have your reverb at the end of the chain. If you have it before anything else, then you're going to get a very mushy sound. So you want to have your reverb right at the end, and then your delay going into your reverb, and then your octave pedal going into your delay. Okay. This is just a really quick overview of some of the most common pedals that you'll see harmonica players using, and I will be talking about how to set them all up later on in the course. So what order do I connect everything in? Well, we start with the mic, then we go into the octave pedal, into the delay, into the reverb, into the looper pedal if you're using one, and then finally into the amp. Okay, so that's just a very quick introduction to playing with effects pedals. If you want to learn more about how to set your effects pedals, your amps, etc., then I suggest that you check out my Amplified Harmonica course by clicking on the link in the description below, where I'll be showing you how to choose and set up your equipment, as well as how to practice getting a great sound in absolutely any scenario. Alright, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Happy harping.